Mm, Hello, my friend. How are you doing today? Doing well? Well, that's good to hear. I'm always glad to hear that you're doing well. Is there anything I can help you with? Or were you just coming to say hello? Hmm. Well, if there's anything you're curious about, I'm happy to talk about it. Something that I have a habit of saying, or talking about at least. Well, of course. What is it? Oh, my friend, you don't have to get embarrassed. What's the worst that happens? The worst that happens, I suppose, is I don't know why I say it, and I have to reflect on what caused me to begin saying whatever it is you're curious about in the first place. I would never judge you for something you're curious about. You are a very dear friend of mine, after all. Hmm. All right, well, let's hear it. Oh, of course. Well, I suppose I do make quite common references to eating you, or at least putting you in my mouth. Or you made uncomfortable by this? I can stop if you'd like me to. Oh, well, if you're not offended or made uncomfortable by it, I suppose I can continue doing it. But as for the reasoning behind it, I'm not sure how to explain this. Well, I suppose for me, the thought of getting the chance to engulf you with my body is quite an intimate one. At least in the sense that, well, being around me in general requires a lot of trust to be put in me. Trust that I'll watch my step, or make sure I don't rock whatever surface you're on too hard, or so on and so forth. And being close to me, being held in my arms, or sitting in my lap, resting on my chest, that all requires even more trust. Trust that I assure you isn't misplaced, but trust all the same. So, I suppose that's a certain part of it. If you are in my mouth, resting on my tongue, you would have to trust me not to intentionally or unintentionally just swallow you down. Without your permission, at least. And should you ever find yourself in my tummy, well, first off, I should let you know it's not exactly like what you may be used to from stomachs of your people. In fact, mine is, well, due to my size, quite spacious, but also rather inactive. Luckily, being a rather dormant creature most of the time, I don't require that much food. So, most of the time, my tummy is quite safe to be in. But still, being that deep inside of me requires a certain amount of trust that you can get back out should you want to. And that I won't forget you or fall asleep or so on and so forth. So I suppose that's why I enjoy talking about it so much, is because the fact that you entertain those possibilities to me shows that you already have that kind of trust in me. And admittedly, I do like seeing your face turn red. Perhaps sometime I'll show you what the inside of my body is like. Just for a little while. Maybe a minute or two at most, so you can get acquainted with it before we decide if you ever want to revisit for longer. I myself am not too acquainted with it because, well, I can't exactly go inside of myself. And I'm much too big to go inside of anyone my size. However, I do know enough about my own anatomy to know some things. Does that help to answer your question, though? Well, unless you have anything else you're curious about, perhaps you'd like me to talk a bit more about it? Well, I've explained why I talk about it so often, drop little hints, I suppose. But I can always go into a bit more detail if you should like. Well, first off, I do try to make sure that my dental hygiene is up to the best standard I can get it whenever you're nearby. Having to position myself so close to you, I'd hate for you to pass out because of bad breath. I much prefer for you to fall asleep because I'm relaxing than because you're choking. But aside from that, I do think you'd like it. In my mouth, at least. My tongue is quite soft, as I'm sure you can tell. And I'd be very, very gentle with you. I'd make sure to leave my mouth open just a bit, so you could get fresh air, and so you wouldn't be caged in by my teeth. My teeth are a bit sharp, but they're not so sharp they would hurt someone as small as you. They're certainly not razor pointed at the ends. The one concern I would have would be the amount of saliva I produce. Admittedly, I think it's quite a lot, or at least a lot compared to your size. After spending barely even a minute in there, I imagine you'd be soaked to the bone. But as long as you don't mind that, I think you'd have a very pleasant experience. Nice and warm, with something soft and squishy to cuddle up to. What more could you possibly ask for? And deeper down, well, it might be a bit of a rough landing for you, but I imagine the squishiness of my insides would permit you to relax and not have to worry about hurting yourself. I like to imagine it a bit like what are they called? The bouncy houses that you have. Falling into one may sting a bit, but they tend to have enough give that it won't hurt too much. And once you're inside, you could relax and listen to the inside of my body. You could hear my heartbeat, my breathing. You could hear me talking to you. I do think you'd enjoy yourself. And whenever you want it out, I imagine I could perhaps find you some string to wrap around yourself. Or if we were being particularly fancy, perhaps you could have a harness, and I would just pull you right back up out of me, and you'd be safe and sound once again. Not that you would ever be in any peril. Like I said, my stomach is quite inactive most of the time. And when it is active, trust me, I can tell the difference. It growls and grumbles quite loudly. If I recall correctly, one time a while back, while it was particularly active, you had asked if there was an earthquake. So, you would know if you were going to be in any danger, and I would know as well, and I would make sure that you didn't end up in harm's way. But For right now, at least, I'm perfectly content with you simply being around me or cuddling into my chest or hands or wherever else you please. I very much enjoy your company, and I'm glad that you and I are friends. I'm sorry, my little friend. I seem to have exhausted myself talking about this. Like I said, I am quite often a dormant creature. Because of my size, I don't exactly have to go very far to do anything, so... Most of the time, my body spends napping. Would you like to take a nap with me now? We can both get some rest. You can even lay on my chest if you'd like. Okay. Come along, my little friend. I hope that you enjoy your nap. I know I certainly will with you around. And perhaps afterwards we can talk more about whatever you'd like. I am certainly all ears for whatever you may find curious. But for now,